see. How do you set up a puppy for failure when it comes to resource guarding? I have seen Amelia attack twice over a bone. Yeah, we have a couple in my group. I would say right now the two that are the most aggressive, if you want to call it, are Amelia and Jet. And like today, right after feeding, I took them out on Puppy Hill in groups of 4. I kind of set them up in a position that I'm not encouraging the behavior, but I'm certainly not, I'm giving them an opportunity to be in a group. In my opinion, they tend to get ramped up when there's more activity, thus allowing them to have that behavior come to head. And me being right there to reprimand the behavior, whether it be with my voice. Today I had the bat out, so they were a little like, oh, she means business. Or if the dog is getting really aggressive, if I'm right there, I'll grab the dog by the neck, quickly pin the dog to the ground and release, showing dominance over that dog. And most times, they'll stop in that particular instance. And the more times you do that, the goal is that the less likely they're going to be to be aggressive. But sometimes we just have dogs that work in this, that come up through the farm, that's just their personality, and sometimes we can overcome it and sometimes we can't. So we obviously give them many opportunities and training opportunities to kind of correct that behavior. So right now we're still in that really early stage with the two of them, that I don't feel like it's indicative of their overall personality. Both are really great in a vest. They're great out in public. So it's, I wouldn't say, oh, we're going to wash them out right now because of that. My opinion is also to say that a dog that's like that here at the farm could be completely different as a service dog living either on their own or in a home environment, with their person. I mean, some dogs just aren't farm dogs, and they respond so much better, say, when they're at my house or one of our houses for overnight or a weekend stay. They're completely different in their behavior and mannerism. So we certainly try to exhaust all options. I know that was a really long answer, but I just wanted to say why and how we kind of work through all that. Did you get snow there today? It's just starting to snow, just a little bit, some slight flurries. I think we're supposed to get, the last I checked was like 1 to 3 inches here, roughly. Do you train the dogs to walk differently in snow ice when a recipient is depending on them? I do. I mean, I try to, out in public or even on the farm, I definitely walk at a super slow pace when I'm out above the ice, so that obviously I don't want to fall, but so that the dog realizes that, hey, in this situation we have to take even more cautious steps, even more time to kind of get through this environment. Let's see here. If a prospective recipient was not vocal, would you consider using a whistle or a clicker? Carlene, in my opinion, I don't think she doesn't really like the clicker training. I guess the best example of a dog recently that we've worked with would be Rogue, who was paired with Melissa, who is deaf. When I communicate with Melissa, she kind of, along with signing or reading lips, she does have a slight whisper. And for whatever reason, granted, we haven't trained the dog specifically to someone who doesn't use a lot of verbal cues. In fact, obviously, a lot of our training is opposite of that when we're teaching the dog to listen and have, listen to our conversation with them. But somehow, and I just think it's just like seizure alert dogs, somehow those dogs know how to work with their person. I'm a strong believer that if the dog is connected to the recipient in such a way that any of our dogs are connected to us as their owners, they'll do anything for you. I mean, I kind of equate it to Tony. That dog will do, he's been through basic service dog training. I haven't taken him out in a vest in a very long time, but he will do anything I ask him to do. And so I think it's just Rogue has to pay attention to Melissa in a different way. There's a lot of eye contact. There's a lot of hand signals. So I think rather than defaulting to a sound or a clicker, I would say first you would probably want to work on hand and eye contact rather than the auditory. But I do know Melissa was trying to work with Rogue on alerting her, like when the doorbell rang, things like that. So I personally haven't had any experience with that specific training, but I do know it's a possibility. Hi, Katie. Do you see a difference in personalities when training between male and female dogs? I do. I touched on this a few weeks ago. For some reason, I feel like the males are more emotional. To me, like they just have these little soulful eyes, and when they're in a vest, at least they're very connected, and they're more apt to pay attention and focus on you than the girls. The girls either seem to be like super independent or just flighty. Not that they're bad, it's just a different way of handling. So I kind of think their personalities are a little bit different in general, but then even more so, each dog is totally different. I mean, I can take all the calories and minions and specifically, have a certain cue word or something to describe their personality, and they're all very different. Do Danes require boots in snowy weather? They do have boots on the market. I have, owned a pair. My dogs never really liked to wear them, so I was just like, forget it. I personally prefer a product called Vermont Bag Balm. It's kind of like the texture of a Vaseline, a thicker, like lanolin Vaseline. You can buy it on Amazon. Sometimes Walgreens carries them. You don't have to use very much. They either come in like a little 1 ounce can or a 9 ounce can, something like that. But the product is great. I usually wipe it on the bottom of my dog's feet in the sand and ice. And to me, it's just as much protection than boots. We don't put the dogs here in boots to go out and play. They're animals. Have you ever worked with one of the breeds of Great Danes that they use in dog shows, or do you or Carlene notice a difference in temperament? Do you think that is why they thought that Great Danes would not be good service dogs? Have you ever worked with a breed of Great Dane they use in a dog show?
Have I ever worked with a breed of
Great Dane? I don't really understand that. I'm trying to understand the question. Have you ever worked with one of the breeds of Great Danes they've used in dog shows, or do you or Carlene notice a difference in temperament? Do you think that is why they thought Great Danes would not be good service dogs?
Oh, there is no separate breed of
Maybe
dogs.
They're thinking like American versus European.
They're different sizes and shapes, and certainly
Right.
we have concentrated on the type that we like. Both in temperament and shape. But also, it's a great deal in the way that they're handled. There's hardly anybody that trains like we do. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how many, just somebody today who I was impressed with, I can't remember who it was, has come to the conclusion that Great Danes are different.
No.
They've handled a whole bunch of dogs. They finally got themselves a Great Dane. All of a sudden they say, this isn't like the other dogs we've had. Great Danes are different, and you train them differently. I keep saying we educate ours. Mm-hmm. You talk to them like a small child. You don't order them around and make them put their foot on their head or sit up or shake hands or do all those silly things that you can get a Jack Russell
and they
to do.
think. I mean, they
think.
They do. Today I worked on downstairs in the feed room, and I'll have one that'll, they'll get up. I did it on the veranda, and they'll get up on the veranda. And I'll have a cookie in my hand, and I'll tap in front, and I'll say down. And they'll sit there, and they're staring at your hand. And then I'll look at them, and I'll say, think about it. And you can just see their little minds working. And then all of a sudden, sure enough, I'll say it again, and slowly they'll bring, They
Yeah.
just need time to.
I thought it was very
focus
interesting
on
when
what you're
those
doing.
people were filming here. I don't know whether the camera was on anybody or not, but it's cold out. And we didn't want to play outside at all. So we had a puppy, I've forgotten who it was,
Cadet.
could be,
One
on a
that was
leash in the kitchen.
Yeah, I think I heard it was Cadet.
And she was walking around in circles. And he walked around in circles twice. And the next time he came around, he said, what the hell is this? We should be over there. I could go lie down and be very comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just trying to demonstrate, which he did very well, the fact that when she stopped, he stopped. There was no leash tightening. There was
Yep.
no nothing. When she hesitated, he hesitated. Except when he got to the corner where he really thought that it made much more sense to come out here and lie down. And you could just see the dog thinking, and then she'd talk to him, and they'd go around again. We don't train my dogs by walking around in circles. The
repetitive
dogs would
motion.
not understand that.
No.
You'd lose them.
I find like more onto that is I find that when I take a dog out, I kind of hit everything on my list, but usually only once. Like I don't sit here and go up the stairs and come back down and go up the stairs and come back down. I mean, then they're going to be, why?
That's right. Why are we doing that?
Why are we going in circles? So usually I kind of go through the list. I may spend a little bit more time on a downs day or whatever, but I don't just do repetitive motions.
No.
And then like downstays in the feed room, I mean, I did it 2 or 3 times, but that's it. But they were getting rewarded with a cookie, so
Yeah.
they're a little bit different. Anyway.
The only time I do something repetitively would be like that deal I got into with the checkout counters that had balloons over them. And it took me 75 times of going around the circle to get that dog used to that damn balloon. But that is a repetitive kind of deal
Yeah.
where you're trying to flood the situation because you're getting a negative reaction from
Right.
the dog in the first place. But other than that, no, you go lead life and straighten it out as you go.
And just let them acclimate, right? What do we think of the AKC certification Canine Good Citizenship?
I think it's a good deal.
I do too.
I used to be an examiner for that.
Oh, really?
I did. But it's paperwork and I never could keep it straight.
No, I think it's good. People want to take the time
It's a
to.
very good program. Good program for kids. It gives them a goal.
You're right.
You get a reward if you make it. Things like that. It's a good program. That's one of the very few programs of the AKC that I do think is wonderful. Along with their canine,
How do you do the pin with a large dog that shows dominance? Obviously, you can't pin the dog to the ground and release. They're talking about that.
oh,
You hit it with a water bottle.
I like water bottles myself.
A bigger dog is not gonna. A bigger Dane, at least, is not gonna. I mean, I've whacked one on the side of the chest. If they're in a dog fight,
You're in trouble. Lee, go have coffee.
I mean, Megan and I have chucked water at a dog, and they're like, oh, and then
Yeah, if you can
tap their
startle
butt
them,
with a
fine.
bat. Yeah.
That's really
But you
what you
can't
want to do.
pin-
When I say hit him with a water bottle, mine is usually about a quarter full, but it makes a big noise.
Yeah.
And it startles them, and they don't like to be startled. If they're in a dog fight, problem.
Yeah.
It's
It's funny. I tend to scream. I don't know why. It's just
You do scream?
I do. I don't know. It's like my
Yeah.
first reaction
Because you're
is
just
to
adding to it.
yell loud and try
Right.
to scare them.
You're just adding to the excitement. But sometimes sometimes it works.
Sometimes it
I
works,
mellow
I
at
know.
them, and if you can see it coming and get one step ahead of them, that's
Right.
the name of the game.
And intervene. What was the highlight of my day? Pilot did not puke in the car.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
That was the highlight of my day.
Isn't that wonderful?
I gave her a Kong,
Oh, there you go.
maybe to distract her in the car. We went to Tractor Supply, so that wasn't very far.
Yeah.
And I had her and Finn in the car, and I gave them each a Kong, and we made it all the way there. And then she did excellent in the training. And we got back in the car, and she got back into her Kong, and we made it all the way back without vomit. That was the highlight of my
Do
day.
you have a sign around your neck that says "I have a dog in the car"?
Not yet.
Shame on you.
I know. I need that tag.
That's what we need. Wherever it is.
We have the little signs. I just need to pull punch it.
Oh, is that too hard? Where are they? I'll do it. I hang one on my rearview mirror, which is where they should be kept.
Somebody's saying Melissa also has additional needs besides hearing. Yes, she does. I wasn't implying that she's only... Rogue is not there simply because she's deaf. She does have balance problems. Could you tell us why Charlie was left down in the kennel last night without Steve?
Steve went out to dinner.
Steve went out to dinner and chose not to bring Charlie for that evening.
I have no idea.
I'm not real sure.
But he ended up here in the house.
Oh, did he?
Yes, he barked.
I know Steve was helping out Colleen because she was with Megan.
That's right.
So that might have been
why.
why.
If the dog are so over at Colleen's, it may not get along with Charlie.
Yeah, so it could have been something situational.
I've heard about a German Shepherd over there.
Yes. Yes,
That's
you're
probably
right.
Why?
Lance. Okay, I'm done. Hopefully I answered your questions.
Bye.
I'm going to hold punch before I leave.